South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal was expected to deliver its judgment today. The judgment has been delivered. This is in a legal dispute between the family of former Zambia's President Edgar Lungu and the Zambian government, with the family challenging an earlier ruling by the Pretoria High Court, which ordered that Lungu's remains be repatriated to Zambia for a state funeral and burial, despite the family's wishes for him to be laid to rest privately in South Africa. And, today the Supreme Court of Appeal upheld an appeal by the family of the former Republic of Zambia's President Edgar Lungu against an order of the Gauteng Division of the High Court in Pretoria, which authorized the repatriation of the late President Lungu's remains to Zambia for a state funeral and burial. The High Court, the central issue before the SCA was whether the Zambian government had established a legal right to override the family's decision regarding the burial of the late President Lungu, and whether a binding agreement existed between the parties. The majority judgment held that the Zambian government had failed to establish a legal right to override the family's decision regarding the burial of the late President Lungu. The SCA found that the evidence relied upon the Zambian government reflected ongoing negotiations rather than a concluded agreement applying the Plascon-Evans rule. The majority accepted the family's version that no final agreement had been reached. Now, joining us from the Supreme Court is Channel Africa's reporter Tamo Kapisa. Tamo, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Updates. Now, tell us what exactly unfolded and how was the judgment received?
Good afternoon to you, Lulu, and the listeners. So, how we got here is that since the passing of the late President Lungu on the 5th of June last year, there has been back and forth between the family and the Zambian government in the High Court of South Africa, wherein when the body was about to be repatriated for burial to Zambia in June last year, the family had clearly stated to the Zambian government that they did not want the sitting president, Hakainde Hichilema, to preside over the funeral arrangements or the burial rites of the former president. And it was later found out that President Hichilema and his cabinet had not abided by the agreement of the family, and there was an about U-turn at Lanseria Airport. Hence, the Lungu family went to the High Court in Pretoria to stop the body to be repatriated to Zambia. So since June last year, there has been back and forth between the two families in court, to a point that last month, when the body was being kept at the undertakers, that was Two Mountains Funerals, overnight the Zambian government went to take the body and kept it at an undisclosed place where they apparently had conducted some autopsies without the authorization of the family. Hence, the family then went to the Supreme Court to get the Supreme Court to overturn the decision of the High Court, so that the body must be retained by the family. So that's what has been playing out over this past year, Lulu.
Just the reaction from the family and both sides, basically the family and the Zambian government. What did you manage to find on that front?
Well, there has not been any, we haven't got any reaction yet from the Zambian government, but the family spokesperson, Makebi Zulu, has promised to give a media statement later tonight. So we'll be looking out for that. There has not been any immediate reaction from both sides. All we know is that the Lungu family, via Makebi Zulu, the family spokesperson, will be issuing out a statement later tonight, so we'll be looking out for that. There was no one present in court since the judgment was passed virtually, so there were no representatives in the Supreme Court to give any reaction to that effect. Lulu.
Tamo, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today. That is Tamo Kapisa, who has a Channel Africa reporter who has been following that story very closely, as it literally is just over a year that the former Zambia's President Edgar Lungu passed away in South Africa, and this back and forth has been unfolding in front of all of us. And I guess now there is some sort of way forward, and we'll get further updates as the family and the government representative of Zambia gives updates, whether later today or tomorrow. And we will be keeping our eyes on our finger on the pulse very closely. It is 12:56 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa.
This is the Chart Toppers on Channel Africa.